says preparing. Here we go. All right. We should be live. Like I said, there's always a bit of a lag here. But welcome everybody to 414 today. And I've got my friend Chris here with me today. I'm just waiting for the Facebook to actually load up here and give everybody a second to show up. Looking forward to you guys joining us. Very excited to learn more about wealth and just creating wealth today from my friend Chris, who will share a little bit more about what he does. And your slogan, Chris, was that you help, like your shirt says it too, and so did the picture that you gave me, right? Like it's like similar to I help you make money on the internet. And that's kind of like, I guess, in line with like the marketing and the digital work that you do. Hey, Jody, great to see you. Yeah. So
marketing, digital work. Yeah.
So Chris is a husband, a father. You've got 2 children that you've named after your favorite luxury cars, which is such a hoot. What are their names? Is it Aston?
And Bentley.
And Bentley. Right, I remembered Aston.
And they match the cars. So Bentley is kind of laid back and kind of chilled out, but Aston's
that's so cool.
Wide open he's set on run.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, that's so hilarious. What it just reminded me of, I guess we're just jumping in, straightforward here.
Yeah.
That's how I do things anyway. So it's kind of just happening. So
impromptu.
What I was just thinking here when you just said that was interesting, because yesterday I was speaking with a client about, are you familiar with that project? I forget what the guy's name was, but do you know how he had like the water droplet project? Do you know about that?
Oh, yeah, the Japanese man.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So he had like water droplets and he froze them and he labeled them with different emotions, I think.
Yep.
And then how they froze up in completely different ways and look like anger looks very distorted. And like literally we're talking about the same kind of like droplets of water in similar containers, but how they look so different based on the intention. Hi, Julianne. Hi, Travis. Great to have you. Yes, #live if you're watching live, so it bumps it for everybody else. So it's really interesting. And then I was just thinking when you said that with your kids, because like you kind of gave them a name, kind of like, like how the label was put on it.
Well, my point was give them that name, and my goal is to make sure they have those cars later.
Yeah, all right.
But to go into the water thing, so
yeah,
I literally will play affirmations into my water.
Will you really?
And then I drink it. So I'm drinking affirmations.
That's amazing. I just thought like when he did that study, so for those of you who kind of like need to see some backing on that, go and look that up. I wish I could remember the guy's names. If anyone knows the name, please pop it in the comments.
I'll find it. I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, because I think that like we tend to like get nervous about a lot of things that we don't understand. But if you can see the science behind it, you guys have to understand how we work and just the power behind like, our intentions. And so in this experiment, he's labeled these different bottles, and you can literally see how the molecules like freeze in different structures based on the labels. Okay, so my point is like, if water can respond this way, and it's just water, like it's inanimate, okay? If those molecules can respond in that way to a label that's put on them, how much more us? How much more us, right? And so I just think it's hilarious how you're saying here, Chris, that like you've given your sons these 2 names. You're already thinking about their future and what you want for them, right? Like you like literally given them the names and you would like for them to have these luxury vehicles. But I think it's very interesting that their personalities match the vehicles, as you mentioned, right? Because it's almost like you put the label. And this is why I'm a big believer in choosing names that are really going to be a blessing. Because like I know when I chose my children's names, I was very intentional about what I chose them. Both of their names are rooted in Yah and God, and have specific meanings. So every time we're saying it over them, it's like we're declaring that, right? We're declaring that. Oh, thank you, Chris, for putting it here. That's right. Water has memory. So there's the actual video. That's right. Mark is putting in here what you actually do, just to remind everybody like that's what you actually help people make thousands of
Awesome. Yeah.
dollars
Thanks.
online. So that's awesome, Mark. Thank you so much. They're awesome. The people in here are awesome. So just love them. So Chris, tell us a little bit about your story. Now, I know you have, and feel free, be open over here in terms of like, I don't know how much of your history you usually share with people, but I do think that it's a beautiful story that glorifies God. So, why don't you share a little bit about like, when did God become important in your life? Like, at what point did you make this decision? What did that look like?
It's been important my entire life. However, I grew up and I came from like not a lot of money, but on my dad's side, which with my cousins and my uncles and my aunts, they were all like rich. So I saw so much differentiation there because
Yeah,
I
the
come from a
disparity.
smaller town where there was really nothing. And there's a interesting story behind all that. I mean, I've had 8 near-death experiences.
Yeah, we'd love
Um,
to hear like whatever you
yeah,
feel led to share with us, like for those who are listening to just really be encouraged by your story because I know you have a remarkable story.
yeah. So, and I'm really all I care about really is helping people first, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes I sacrifice myself to help others, and either it's a good thing or I'll regret it later. But it is what it is. But back then I wasn't as spiritual as I am now. Now I will hear stuff or get signals and be like, okay, I'll go over there and maybe I'll meet someone there. And sure enough, I go over there and something happened, like whatever. Um, so I'm very systematic, and I think a lot of it comes from my former background of auto mechanics and
Yeah.
racing cars and things of that nature. So I don't believe anything is impossible. I think that word shouldn't even be existent.
Yeah.
Um,
That's good.
but seeing the difference between you know poor versus wealth, like as you're little, and then figuring out, okay, well, I'm going to make sure my kids don't experience that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what drove me to do and be the way I am now. Um, break out of my 9 to 5 because I used to be in a 9 to 5, but now the sky's the limit. If whatever you can write down, if you can backwards analyze the plan, you can get there pretty easy because it looks easier when you break it down, right?
It's so true.
So, I mean, but the key to all that is to have a system.
Hmm.
You have to have a system in place to make that happen. And then you have to just also have faith. Um, so it, my story is a little bit long and crazy. I don't talk about myself a lot. So, you know,
That's
uh,
why you're here.
yeah,
Because I want you to.
yeah. So, but I believe a lot in energy too and frequencies, just like the water experiment where
That's
you
right.
put stuff on the water, whatever. So, I use things. It's like, so this pen, I feel like, okay, it's a luxury pen. It's a Rolex pen.
I didn't even
So
know Rolex made pens.
I didn't either till I bought a Rolex. That's a whole nother story. Um, but that opened up another door that I would have never got to if I didn't do what I did and take that risk. And
Hmm.
eventually it became like free.
Hmm.
So it's almost like you took the risk, but you get it back, but then you get it back plus some, and you're like, oh,
Right.
well, that was interesting.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
this right here, I feel like this is my instrument to communicate with Father. And if I put it on this paper, then he's like, oh, okay, I see the menu. It's like going to the restaurant and ordering your food at the menu.
Hmm.
You order the food, the waiter knows what you want. You don't think about it, you
Hmm.
don't doubt it, because in your goals, people doubt their goals. But if
Yes.
you don't doubt it, you don't think about it again, 100% that it's coming,
Right.
and there's zero loss of faith. That's how you can achieve major success. But
Yeah.
it's also about rewiring your brain
Yes.
and also having a support group to help rewire the brain, because sometimes you don't see what you do.
Right.
Someone else will have to point it out. You said XYZ,
Yes.
you said I can't 20 times.
Yeah.
That's why you can't do anything. Yeah. So,
That's
you
right.
yeah.
Yeah. I love how you're kind of like touching like all three things because I know I was saying to you before we jumped on here, like I really want these like lives to sort of be about faith. And then I want them to be about like the mindset and the belief that we need in order to put that faith into action. Because you can say you believe a lot of things, but until you're willing to like lay something down on the line and act on it and
Right.
take the risk, you're not actually going to actually see anything happen. And then the third part of it is your story. So I see you like interweaving all three of them together as you're speaking. And like I think it's really cool for people to be able to see that, like, some of the people on here right now are people who have worked with me, are working with me, they're in my inner circle also. And I think that they can really relate to what you're saying, because part of the reason why they're in my world is because I help call them out on some of these things, right? We do it not just in wealth and abundance. So we're looking at overall like relationships and just functioning in business, being a leader and things like that. But right now we're actually covering wealth and abundance in the inner circle. So like your timing is pretty cool for them to like be listening to you as well, as we're sharing. Tell us a little bit about just now you just mentioned the story, right, with the restaurant. And so I'm sure that there are some people listening, and just like in our other conversations before with others, people can really get that kind of muddled up, right? Like it almost sounds, I remember someone made the comment, well, it almost sounds like God's not taking our orders. So it's not like we're just like putting out orders, and I can bring balance to that. But why don't you speak to that a little bit in terms of
Oh, so
your
no, God's not taking your order, but
yeah,
you still have to give him the GPS coordinates so he knows how to
there we go.
navigate you to where you want to go.
That's right.
So that's like the waiter. The waiter, like he needs to know what you want in order to get what you want, or to
Right.
get you where you want to go, right? But GPS
Right.
coordinates, I think, is a better way, because you can hop in the car all the time and
Just
you know
drive.
just drive.
Yeah.
But then you're mindless, you're aimless, there's no goal, you
So
don't know what you
key.
want to do. Sometimes that might be a good thing, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where, let me think of a better way to put it. There go, my mind went blank. But the GPS coordinates, I think that's a
Yeah,
really good
I
one
think that
to
that's a
relate.
really good one. You're right, because you're setting an intention, right? So one of the things that we do in 2.0 and also like the inner circle is that I give them this vision planning or like a dream planning kind of exercise. And so it's essentially what you're saying, because like if we're not intentional about what it is that we want, who we want to be, right, where we want to go, and then I think what you're saying here is even more granular than that. Like you're even like, what do I want today? What do I need to do this week? I think we've had these conversations too, where like sometimes the picture can just seem so big, and that's okay. Like it's totally okay, but also to sort of like break it down into these smaller steps, like you were saying, right?
Oh yeah,
So
I
we
remember what I was
actually
going to say
know.
now.
Good.
So there was a time where, and randomly this happens, and this is something I still do. The money faucet just kind of stops, and I'm like, what's going on? Something's blocked,
Yes, please speak
right?
about that. That's really
Yeah,
needed right now.
something's blocked. So here's what you do. I find a fancy restaurant, like I will go to some place here around me called Papados.
Okay.
The architecture is really nice. I go in, I soak it up. I'm like, all right, let me just focus on the abundance in here. God put this into someone's mind. It was an idea
That's
first,
so
then it was
good.
created, right? And then
Yeah,
it turned into this amazing place.
I love it.
Then you start focusing on the abundance. You make yourself feel rich and wealthy. Order whatever. I like beer, so I'll have a beer here and there. But this even gets crazier. I manifested a entire glass of beer out of thin air. So
What?
when I get to this, so keep going.
Okay, okay.
And I was having a bad day. I'm like, what business is not working right now? What's happening? I'm like, all right, I'm here. Let me just focus on this energy, right?
Yeah.
Pray a little bit, like, all right, I'm here. Maybe I'll meet someone, whatever. Um, Phone starts ringing. Hey, yeah, I know we've been trying to close this deal for a while. Sorry, it's like the lock unlocked.
Interesting.
So the lock unlocked because I'm not focused on what's not coming. I'm
Yes,
focusing on the actual present moment.
that's right. That's right. And there's something in there, Chris, that I just kind of want to point out. And I don't know if you recognize it, and maybe others will recognize it here. I feel like what you described, and I'm literally going to talk about this in the inner circle tomorrow, about this intention and focus, like what you focus on grows, right? So I heard you kind of describe like it was an idea, and then someone created this, and then they put this together, and then like if the architecture is beautiful, then obviously they got people who envisioned that idea. And to me, the moment that you're doing that, I feel like this, from a kingdom perspective, is where wonder takes place.
Yeah.
This is wonder, right? And the most powerful place that you can be is when you're in that awe and in that wonder of what God has created. Like, I know when I first came to Christ, it was like, oh, right away, like, wow, the trees are beautiful and the birds are singing, and it's just like, oh, it's like one of those moments, right, where it's like the wonder. And I believe that wonder is where miracles are produced, because you're taking your eyes off of problem,
Yeah.
right, and the issue and all that negative stuff, and you're moving your eyes into like, wow, and look at this, and God gave someone this idea, and somebody made this idea into fruition, and you're kind of like
Yeah.
marveling at everything, right? And abundance just flows there because it likes that place of like, yeah, let's
Right.
create, let's like, like, and it just, like you said, unlocked right away. So that's a very, very key nugget and principle, I
Yeah.
think.
It unlocked it a little bit, and then all of a sudden I was like getting calls. I was like, oh wow, this is okay. I think I figured something out here. So that's
Yeah.
when I clicked, and I was like, oh, I figured I know what to do anytime I get in this scenario, or anyone calls me, hey, I'm having a problem. All right, go do this. Go sit here, go do this, go get whatever you want. Focus on the environment, forget about everything else, whatever.
Right.
And then that's part of
Just get
like
lost
coaching.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're
So then
right.
that same moment, I had like a quarter of a beer left, and I had to take a call. And before I did it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna have one more beer. I walked out, take a call, closed the deal, came back in. The lady's like, oh, I thought you were done. I put it away. I'm sorry. I threw it out. Here's a free one. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
it just popped
awesome.
up out of thin air. And
Awesome.
then, yeah.
Yeah, that's another nugget right there. And that's something that I've discovered also. See the interesting thing here, Chris, is that for you, like you're like in wonder and awe of how, and you're thankful. Do you see that? Like
Yeah.
you're thankful that another one showed up. You're able to celebrate the small things. And many people who are stuck in this tunnel vision of like how they don't have, they can't do that. It
Mhm.
sounds so easy when you're saying it, because it just sounds like it's a regular part of life because you've trained yourself to kind of live in that zone. But others would look at that and go like, well, I paid so much for my dinner and you took away my dinner and I didn't tell you that I wanted you to take it away. And they get fixated on the injustice. They get fixated on
Yes.
the negativity. You know what I mean? And they're
Mhm.
making a big issue now about that. And the thing is that when you don't make a big issue, normally a reward shows up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying don't stand up for yourself, but I've actually had this happen multiple times. Like sometime last year, I think when we moved into our house, I was kind of like riding in a similar place, and like my husband was like, what is going on? Like you're getting like multiple pieces of furniture because something was like slightly damaged. I'd be like, oh, hey, this happened to be, and next thing you know, I'm getting like three of them. All this stuff is like showing up in my home, right? And it wasn't just once, it was like multiple times. It just kept on happening, right? And I just think that like it's when you don't make a big issue, like you can get really upset about it and get emotionally entangled, and like those water molecules, they manifest in that kind of way where they're agitated. Now other people can feel your agitation and they don't want to give you nothing.
Nope. They shut down.
Right?
They
They
shut-
move into survival and they're like, whatever, I am not giving
Yeah.
you anything, even though you feel justified that you're supposed to get it because they did it wrong. But if you kind of go, oh, okay, like, oh yeah, I just want to take a call, they can, and they can kind of put two and two together. And this is boundaries, people, for those of you who are listening, that you're allowing them to think through and problem solve without you getting involved. And then they go, oh, let me just fix it. And they give you something else. Right? So,
Right.
and you're there to receive it. So like that's awesome.
Right. And then the energy was so high at that moment. Like it kept going for the whole week. But the next day, I went to Starbucks and I walked in and I was like, man, it'd be cool if I just sat down and someone would just bring me a glass of water.
Oh,
Someone brought me a glass
goodness.
of water.
Oh.
They don't do that at Starbucks.
No, they don't. I've been there a few times. I have not seen
One of
water
the workers is like, hey, would
served.
you like this water? I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
That's amazing.
So
That's really amazing. You know, Chris, this is an area where I feel like my mandate is to really speak to people to step into who they are and step into the kingdom, okay? And we are kings, we are royalty, and I use kings because scripturally speaking Jesus is the son of God, so we are sons and therefore we are kings in him, okay? But I mean, like, we are all royalty in that sense. And I think that what I'm hearing you kind of even like describe here is knowing that, like walking around understanding the capability that we have. Like I do feel like you have sort of like tapped into this capability of understanding what is available for us and how we can actually communicate and how we can actually use power of intention, right, in our everyday life.
yeah, yeah. And I forgot to add something else that goes along with this, because this is very important for anyone out there trying to generate money or wealth or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to make sure and give at least 10% away somehow. Just give it away. If it's
Yeah,
to a
most
charity, if
people
it's to a church.
tithing. Mm-hmm.
I like to just take money out, put it in my wallet, and I bump into homeless people.
Okay.
Then I want to hear their story. I want to see, can I help you get out of this situation, or
Oh, that's beautiful.
is it too far gone? Because some people, they're
Yeah,
just
they're not mentally stable, so there's a lot of that, but not all of them are in that situation. Some of them have just had something really hard happen, and it could happen to
right,
any of us. So
right.
yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
always give away 10% of just. I think I feel it personally better to have that intention. Then you're gonna run into homeless people,
Right,
and then who
right,
knows why you're supposed to meet them, right?
right. Yeah.
So
And then for a lot of like the believers in here, and because there are people in here who are at different stages, so not everybody has the same kind of like, background. But I know, like, for me, I got saved when I was like, I would say it was probably 16, but it became a little bit more obvious that I was walking with Christ after. um but like I learned the tithing principle, which is 10%, right? So you give 10% unto the Lord, and it's kind of like a
mhm.
um people say that it's God's money. Like, okay, listen, like, all your money is God's money, not just 10%, because you wouldn't have any of it if you didn't have life and breath in your lungs right now. So but the 10% is almost like a first, like it talks about first fruit. So kind of like if you have a harvest, it's the first crop, the best of it, like you're kind of offering it to God, but not because he wants it or he needs it because he owns everything, but it's more of like a um to me it's almost like it protects me from greed, and it also protects me, from like self-indulge, like not self-indulgence, but like just becoming so um like as if I have to generate everything on my own. Like I'm recognizing he's my creator and he's given it to me, so it's kind of like I'm giving it to whatever work you want to do, right? And I know that for some people this is like a really big deal, because for me, I want to get it to a point where eventually I'm making so much that I could give 50% away, and like not even bat an eye. Like I would want to be able to fund missions and do things.
Oh yeah,
So I do think it's a very important principle that you're mentioning here.
right. So yeah, to touch on something, I believe what Mark Pareto says, you say energy a lot. Can you explain
Yeah.
how God works for you? So
Mm.
to me, energy is God. God is what gives the energy to anything that is here, right? This pen, for example, was an idea in someone's mind, but in order for it to be created, God had to give that person that idea through an energetic thought. Then it turned into a physical item.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just energy, energy, energy. I believe when energetic situations get me closer, I can
Mm-hmm.
hear and communicate better. God literally will talk to me on license plates. Probably because my love for cars. I'll have someone cut me off one day, and
Yeah.
I'll look, oh, that
I
plate says
remember that.
thankful. That plate says
Yeah.
thankful, or
Yeah.
whatever. So I get different codes in different ways. But everyone's wired in their own way. But it's also, If you, so it's like this, right? If you're waiting for something to come or you want something to come and you have this house with 40 windows and God gave you this house with 40 windows, but you have one window open and you're trying to let everything you want come in that one window, it's not,
Mm.
you got to open all the windows,
Mhm.
open all the avenues and all the options, remove all
Mhm.
your limiting thoughts and beliefs because you don't know where it's going to come from. And that's not our
Right.
job to know.
That's it. Now that's another, and that's something that I feel like right now we're really, really talking, like I'm really experiencing this, that like I'm learning, and I do think that this is for everybody in this particular season who's experiencing a transition. They're experiencing like previous like flow, and now all of a sudden it's like all of everything's gone off. Everything has like turned off and they can't figure out why. But I think that this is what you just said is kind of the key to it,
Well,
you
part of
know?
that too. So when certain things are flowing really well and it turns off, it's because you're supposed to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not a match for that anymore. God's trying to match you up for the next level. So
That's
you got to
right.
allow that to flow in and just
That's
let that turn
right.
on.
That's right. No, that's so that I literally feel like, I know you're just using different language, but it's literally exactly what God has been showing me, that we
No, I'm
really,
using my experience. This is
yeah,
really
yeah.
like,
It's just that you're using your experience and you're using language that maybe I would say it differently, but it's the same. My point is like it's the same thing. Like I
right.
can see that like it's literally that, like you have to allow for the new, you can't be worried about it, you can't try to figure out everything. There is really a lot of surrender, isn't there, Chris?
There
Like
is.
I'm
Sometimes
hearing,
it's hard. Sometimes it's
yeah,
hard. Not gonna lie.
yeah, but it also sounds like you're pretty comfortable now. Like was it like that for you at the beginning? Like when did it ever, all of us like control to a certain degree, right? We want to know when, where,
Right.
how,
My
you
first
know.
goals were small. They were like, oh, I want to make $50 a day, $100 a day. It
Right.
happened fast. I was like, oh, that was easy. Then okay, 300. And then four. Then it just kept going up and up and up. And then I noticed if something wasn't going right, I didn't write it down.
Hmm.
It wasn't written down as if it already happened, even though it hadn't happened yet.
Interesting.
Because I didn't give the coordinates, the proper coordinates, and then so things can't be moved into place properly.
Right, right.
It's almost like it's like a little bit of a law where you know you tell your kid something, he don't quite hear it because he speaks a different language.
Right.
You have to figure out how to speak his language. Like
Yeah.
my kids, when they get upset, I'm like, okay, how do I do it? Oh yeah, you play a video game, you get upset, you just restart the level, reset your character.
Right.
I'll tell
That's
them,
good.
reset your character, literally reset your character, and they kind of start over instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a very analogistic
Yes.
person trying to
Yes.
find a way to like make
Well,
something relatable.
you're bridging the gap in terms of the language barriers, right? Like you're
Right.
recognizing where somebody is and you're speaking. I think like Jesus was like that. Like he spoke
Yeah.
in a lot of stories, right? Like in a time where most of them were farmers. So they could relate to what he was saying because they did that every day. Right.
Right.
So I like that. Like I like how you kind of like, so when you speak to your children, you're finding a way to say it using what they would understand.
Right.
Right.
Even in like business, I use something called the love languages, and I try to figure out, someone that's working on a project, why are you not happy? Like something's wrong.
That's
They
good.
might be doing something that they don't like, or
Yeah.
no one's told them, hey, good job.
Yeah.
That means a lot to people. I'm one of those words of
Yeah.
affirmation people.
Yes. Yes.
I just want to know, like, oh yeah, good. Oh, yeah, I'll make it better. So
Yes. 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 It motivates you to do
pumps
even
you up.
better. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like kind of zombie.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's doing good. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Based off
Yes.
of the stats and analytics, it looks good.
Yes. Well,
So
there's just something to be said for communication and just, I believe in a culture of honor where you just you give honor where it's due. And if somebody's doing a good job, you like something, like you don't have to make a big deal about everything, but it's really nice when you can receive, like, I know when my clients send me words, even though my primary love language is not words of affirmation, it's service, but like when they send it to me, like it's so awesome. Like I love it. I love to hear how things that they're learning and what I taught them is working for them. And, they're excited. Or when I see them give a referral, like they're openly sharing their experience with me with others, like it feels good, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I like that. So you're using the love languages, and for those of you who are not familiar, you can look up love languages. There's 5 of them. There's even books that refer to it in business, and refer to it in marriage, and like with your children also. So like there's great ways to apply it. I think it's really neat that you're using it also with clients.
Yeah, clients, even different cultures. I pay attention to different cultures. My wife's
Yes.
Japanese, so I look at how they operate and how things go in Japan, and I look at America, and I'm like, there's so much crime over here. There's so much this. There's so many homeless people over there. Homelessness don't exist. There's no crime.
Wow.
There's no guns. Like,
Wow.
it's the little kids as young as 3 years old walk to the store by themselves and get stuff for the family and bring it back.
Wow.
There's no, there's, it's not, what's the word for not unsafe? It's, there's no danger. It's so
Yeah.
crazy to
What do you think?
see.
What do you think that's all about? I mean, I guess it's a bit off topic, but I'm really curious because it does involve mindset. And like, as we talk about kingdom too, I believe God wants that. Like God wants an environment that's safe. What do you think is the key difference there?
I don't know. I
Yeah,
think it's
Jackie said she
discipline.
thinks it's
I've
a
been trying to
culture of
figure that
honor.
out.
They have a very high culture of honor
Yeah, I
where
think
where
it's
they honor life and they honor elders and they,
and they honor
discipline.
money. Like they will literally at the store, if you get changed, they bow and give it to you on a plate.
Really?
So it's like saying thank you to the money and thank you to, they don't, I don't know if they believe in God. So they're
Yeah,
more
I
like
don't think they do.
Buddhist,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
still
yeah.
it's more like thank you. Like thank you
With
for
all
allowing
of
me
their
to,
being, kind of.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe like a lot more gratitude, perhaps.
There's a lot of gratitude, a lot of
Okay,
gratitude, a lot of
interesting.
gratitude.
Yeah.
Um, Even if you go to like a birthday celebration for somebody,
Hmm.
you're required to send some sort of a thank you gift back for allowing you to come to that celebration, either a
Wow.
gift or some form of increment of money.
Interesting.
So the money's always going around
In
into the
circles.
generations.
Right,
That's why no one is lacking the money.
right.
I haven't seen anyone over there that's not well off.
Interesting.
It don't
I wonder,
exist.
I wonder, like, just looking at like the Acts, like the book of Acts, and how, when they all came to the Lord and they were together sharing resources. It almost sounds like that, where like anybody needed this and they would give it and then it would
Oh
return.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's kingdom economy, right? Like where we're keeping it in and we help each other, and it's you send it out. And this is why I say I believe strongly this is a revelation that God has given me. Like it's not our money, it's all his. And so it's like you send it out to whoever needs it, and you know that when it's time, if you need it, he sends it back to you, and it kind of, and this constant like exchange. Like I think that um you and a few others, new friends that I have made, have all come out of like that new awareness. Like you were not in my life a few months ago, and then there was this new awareness and up leveling that God did for me to understand who I was and start to talk about these kinds of things. And then there you guys were. Like,
Yeah.
like people who you never even knew before could all of a sudden become a part of your life, and now we're friends.
Yeah.
Whereas before, a few months ago, we didn't even know each other existed. So I just think that like that's kind of another piece of that puzzle there, but it's very similar in terms of intention, that as you open up yourself to what's out there and you kind of like um raise the standards, like what I was speaking about yesterday, um you kind of almost, as your belief shifts, experiences that match those new beliefs enter your life,
Yep.
right? So, and I can
Yep.
see that that's kind of like what you're saying also. So that's really cool. So how many businesses do you have, or how many different kinds of businesses are you involved in?
I have one main business, but I'm involved in several other businesses, either helping them systemize or grow their own, or connecting people and brokering different deals. I mean, I get random stuff come across my desk. I mean, people trying to buy airplanes and watches, and like I'm
And
never
you like to
surprised.
connect people, like that's kind of like what you like doing.
Yes, so and then I build my connections, I work out my agreements. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I'll send you this. Just here's what I expect. If
Yeah.
I'm involved, I expect more. If I'm not involved,
Mm-hmm.
tiny,
Right.
tiny. Kind of like what's his name? The Richest Man in Babylon. I don't know if you ever read that book, but he
It's
helps a lot
about,
of people,
yeah.
and he only requests 10%.
Mm-hmm.
10% of everyone he helps. It's not like a requirement or anything, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like one of those things where there's these, you're just planting all these seeds, is what I call it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have this big garden out there.
Jackie's asking, like, is that similar to like a referral fee kind of? I mean,
Absolutely.
it's an honor kind of thing, right? Where like
Yeah.
you're kind of like recognizing that these connections wouldn't have happened if it wasn't,
Yeah. And
if
there's
I
a
didn't
process.
put together. And that's another thing there that I think is
You
many
get a
people.
mutual NDA up front first, so that makes it a solidified business relationship.
Interesting.
The
Okay.
trust is completely the trust is completely kind of created
Right.
by the paperwork.
Okay.
So the walls come down. Oh yeah, let me send you this person. Let me send you this person. I'm sending you this person. Let me
Okay.
brief you on what's going on with this, and this. Okay, cool. Because these
So
are the big
do
deals.
you know, at what point do you know like which ones and when you want to like send them like an NDA? Like, do you have one ready to go? Like, how does that work?
Yep, I have one ready to go. You go to the website, you just put in your first and last name, your email, you click the
Mm-hmm.
sign button, and then I
Mm-hmm.
sign it after that.
Okay.
I made
Okay.
it super simple because what
Yeah.
people do a lot is they'll send a PDF, you got to download it, you got to sign it, you got to
Yeah.
re-upload it or scan it.
Right.
That's a lot of work.
Right. And I think that making things easier for things to move faster is always helpful. An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. Yes, I believe that's what it is.
Yes.
Yes. So what
Mutual
are
NDA
some
non-disclosure, but also a non-circumvent, meaning you can't go around each other.
right.
If
That
someone
I think that
introduced me to
that's key
someone,
there.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that stuff happens a lot, especially in brokering deals, like private jet world, all that stuff. People, it's cutthroat.
Okay.
It is
Well, obviously they
cutthroat.
feel like they can get directly to the person, and once they've established that relationship, you know, then it sometimes it doesn't even make space, like it doesn't even make sense, I think. I remember the first time something like this happened to me. It was a long time ago, like I think 12 years ago, I want to say. But I remember being really confused about it because someone helped us connect with a printer at the time. And it was like at that time we were planting a church, and I was doing a lot of like print work. And so they connected us with the printer. And so as we made a relationship with the printer, we were doing business. And then I guess that other person found out, and I had no idea like what the heck this was, like what we're talking about right here. So I couldn't understand why random person was upset because we never actually had a talk about what the expectations were in the first place. I guess it's something they worked out or they assumed in their head, but didn't really actually like communicate. So it's so key and so important to be communicating this, right? So Jackie's saying she's wondering, how this can fit into her space. Jackie is learning trading right now. And once she's like all trained up, she'll be coming on a live, right, Jackie? To be able to share
Well,
with everybody.
Facebook turned off comments because
Did
apparently
it do that?
something we said violated community
No,
standards. I think
it did it the last time as well, and I don't know why it's
it's
doing that.
weird.
Um, is it turned off?
Yeah, they turned it off.
That is so annoying. I thought that maybe after last week's thing, I went on and I kind of tried to like it usually happens at the 40-minute mark.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've noticed that happening. I just noticed a trend in the last little while. And it's like, oh, the comments are coming in too fast and they don't like that. They're like that it might be spammy with the comments. But I've seen so many people run lives and it just seems to somehow do this. Let me see if my people have actually commented and told me that it's off.
Right.
Sometimes they send me messages and they let me. Yep, Travis is saying it did it again. It's not showing up in the feed. Comments just got shut down again. Okay, I'm gonna try seeing what I can do here, if I can. But the last time, let me see. How's that? Let's see if it
Oh,
sticks.
you got it back. How did you
I
do
turned
that?
it on, and the last time it kept on turning it off, even though I turned it on. But let's see if it continues.
Put a bunch of love comments. We love everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's back off.
Love
Yeah.
everybody. Is it back off? Like, see what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I don't know why. I have no idea why it does that.
Weird. Oh well, I think we're getting ready to
We're just getting.
get
Oh wait, testing. Travis is testing. It was 1 minute ago. He's able to type.
yeah, it's back off. It's all right. Maybe it'll comment. Does it allow comments when we end?
Yeah, absolutely will. It just goes back on, but for see, it's not allowing me to do it either. Yeah, it's
That's
really,
weird. All right.
really, really weird. If you, I know you're in the Facebook world, so if you ever figure out why on earth it does that, I would really love to know.
I
Um,
think because we're talking a lot about religion and they don't it even says in the community standards like people should be protected, especially from attacks on their race, ethnicity, religion, language, gender, or
mm,
sexuality.
mm.
And we
I
talked
mean,
about
like, I
Japanese, we
mean, like,
talked about
I jumped
Buddhists.
the last week. We didn't talk about any of that except for like the kingdom and stuff, and it did the same thing too.
It's strange.
It's very,
It's an
very weird.
automatic
It's
algorithm.
definitely an auto, yeah. And then I know I was looking it up, and it said that if you can actually adjust the boundaries or whatever before you come on or while you're on the live, but it's not letting me do that. So I have no idea like what that's all
That's
about.
probably a group setting in the settings
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's what I was wondering. Is there a group setting? And I turned something off, but I that was on before, like maybe like a monitor thing, and I thought maybe it would work, but it
Okay.
obviously it didn't. So anyway, Chris, I think like we're kind of like running up for time, and probably like people have so many more questions that might even the next time we'll be able to share. Jackie's testing all of the emotions right now.
Oh, she's mad. I know I'm mad too.
There we go. I know I'm mad about it as well. It's really frustrating. But I know like they were asking questions about like what do the GPS coordinates mean? And essentially, Jackie, all that's meaning is that Chris is being intentional about what it is that he wants. And so this comes across like in business too, you know, or even in our relationships. Like if we don't know, if we're sending mixed signals to somebody, think of it that way. You're sending mixed signals to somebody. So it's like you're showing them that you're interested in them, but then like at the same time you're acting standoffish. Like you're kind of like, you know, like sending a mixed signal to somebody. Like they're not going to know if you're coming or going. Like they don't know if you want to be in relationship with them or if you don't want to be in relationship with them because you're not actually clear with your signal. Right? Or it's like or like a lighthouse is out there and it's beaming light to guide the ships home, but like all of a sudden like the light is like going this way and going that way, and it does like it's not actually pointing to a clear direction, so it creates confusion. And then that, energetically speaking, creates confusion, right? Because emotions are an energy, our thoughts are energetic. Even us, like it looks like it's human and it's physical, but we're actually like, you know, all just molecules floating around, right? So when you realize that God's spirit is energetic, the angels are flames of fire, and our spirits, they're energetic also. So when you start to look at it, how this whole world is like built that way, you want to be clear about what it is that you want so you can actually hit your target, or
Right.
you can't hit a moving target, right? So kind of that's what Chris is talking about. Anyway, thank you so much, Chris, for your time. Maybe the next time we can talk a little bit more from a marketing perspective for those people who have questions, since that is your primary business, right? And maybe you can answer some questions from that angle, and
Oh
perhaps
yeah.
some people could really use your help as well. It was great to
Absolutely.
have you on today.
Cool. Thank you. Good to be here.
That's awesome. All right. Well, if anyone has questions, feel free to pop them in the comments, #replay if you're watching later, and we will see you soon.